Hi, my name is April Day. I am a student at Grayson College, currently majoring, in my associates in teaching for grades 6 through 12. So it really comes as no surprise that for this project, I decided to study the impact that self-esteem has on student success and how your self-esteem can impact your academic achievements. First, we need to understand that the definition of self-esteem is confidence in one's own worth or abilities or self-respect. So this trait of yours, whether, maybe you're a little bit lacking in self-esteem, maybe you have an abundance of self-esteem, that can impact your life and your goals and your success. So let's, go into what this looks like across the globe. So when diving into this subject, I found several studies that have been conducted across the world, in Pakistan, in Kuwait, in various areas, where you may not necessarily just immediately jump to thinking that let's study self-esteem there. But self-esteem is a common thread between all individuals. We all either have it, whether it's in smaller amounts or larger amounts. We all have self-esteem, or maybe we don't, but that is a trait that we can all develop, just as humans, as people. Self-esteem impacts students of all ages. In this case, the studies that I have reviewed have an emphasis on studies in college students, both in undergraduate and graduate programs. One of these studies was conducted in 2008 using the Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale to measure self-esteem in students during their freshman and senior year at a university. This scale is used with a 10-item list where you choose from strongly agree to strongly disagree, and it generates a score for your self-esteem. They use this score for these students to measure their progress, whether their self-esteem increased, decreased, and also took into account their GPAs. At the end of the study, it was found that there is a correlation to academic achievement from your self-esteem. So those with higher self-esteem were more successful. There was an additional study conducted by Zimmerman in 2010 that was based off of this study and kind of went into it a little bit more, where they conducted this study on college students ages 18 to 25. They reviewed that for 80 subjects, whereas in 2008 there were 37 participants. The range for self-esteem was from 0.77 to 0.88 of the population. At the end of that study, they did see that correlation to where it changed from an increase in self-esteem equal to an increase in GPA. With the Zimmerman study, they did come to a conclusion at the end of that there is a strong correlation between self-esteem and academic achievement. It was in both of these studies. These were both conducted in different areas of the world. You might think that that's just an assumed thing, that those with a higher self-esteem may achieve more. When you are confident, that affects your performance, and your performance affects your GPA. And it's interesting to see that there are other scientists or people in pursuit of that information to clarify that is the case. With students who have low self-esteem, there is a greater chance that they will have a lower GPA. They may fall behind or, count themselves out, and that can be a strong issue in schools across our local area, across the nation, and even, as we can see, in other countries. It's a very human thing to either have self-esteem or maybe even have issues with your self-esteem. With these issues where a low self-esteem may be impacting a student's grade, going into this profession, looking to be an educator, I think of all of these children in a classroom, the ones that are struggling, that might just be very down on themselves, very low self-esteem. They may not try to, because what's the point? They may say, what's the point? It's very self-defeating. Even at a young age, we can sometimes see this in students with learning disabilities, other various students. One of the things that has been emphasized by Sullivan was that a child's self-esteem is influenced by their parents and the punishment reward system that they choose when raising their children. So it starts in the home with the parents. Does every child have an ideal home life? No. But as mandatory reporters, we should definitely be keeping an eye on our students, keeping an eye on our fellow students at the college, any situation. If there's a danger or if we believe somebody is being impacted negatively, I believe that we should be looking into what we can do to help. A man by the name of Rogers, in 1951, argued that self-esteem improves within an environment where the child can express their feelings and ideas comfortably, with emphasis on the impact of acceptance and respect. So he believed that in a home or in an environment where a child or a person is not afraid to share their feelings, where they don't feel like they will be shut down, there's no emotional abuse or neglect, they are able to communicate these things, and there's a greater chance that their self-esteem will improve as a result. So it's creating an environment for these students in schools, in universities, in various areas of the world, just for employees, people in general. We want to foster an environment where they feel comfortable, where they can come and talk to us, and let that, encouragement and making sure that they trust us with their care, and that they know it's a safe space, that they can come forward, and we can foster and, help implement tools or resources that will help these students build their self-esteem. When I think about it, I'm thinking of young children, but it's also the case with college students as well, obviously, because that's what these studies were about. So funds for mental health services at public universities in Texas have been hard to come by. The Texas government does not earmark funds or budgets for mental health services at public universities. So these clinics around Texas at universities for college students who are struggling and may need assistance with their self-esteem or with mental health services are not getting that. So one of the things that I believe would be a great solution and will be an ongoing issue, it's a long-term goal, but we should definitely pursue our local governments and move onward to state and national governments about really getting those support services both for college students, universities, public or private, and even for our elementary to high school students. They also need that support. And with staffing issues and salary issues, that's something that we should really review so that we can make sure that we are giving the best to the students and the people who are our future. That's something that we really need to be working towards, and how we can help to improve this for students so that we are giving them the opportunity for the most success, both academically and out there in the world. Here are the sources that I have used for these studies and for additional information. The Texas College's lag in mental health services was very eye-opening as to the services at the universities and what our government is providing for those entities. And so I believe that, we have been able to determine that there is a correlation between self-esteem and academic achievement. And if we take those steps to help improve self-esteem within our students and their resources, that it will help to improve our academic scores and just success for people across the board.